Good evening, everyone.
Okay, cool.
Did I have to have separate points for council?
I'm Yvonne DeRosso. I'm the chairperson for the Ogemaw County Board of Commissioners Housing Advisory Committee. It's a long title. Some of you have been to our open houses, but this is a different type of meeting tonight. We brought Tonya Joy in from Mishta, and she's gonna talk about the My Neighborhood grant information, and she's got a nice little program for us. Before we get to that, I'd like to introduce our committee members. John Donser with the City of West Branch, Kathy Zimmerman with the City of West Branch, now I need my glasses. Laura Hanlon with West Branch Township is not here tonight. Penny Paya, Ogemaw County Economic Development Director. Myself with Ogemaw Township as the chairperson for the committee. Charles Wiltsey, Ogemaw County Commissioner and my vice chair. Paul Frechette is the City of West Branch alternate. Jamie Green, Ogemaw Township, and Bob Griffin Jr., who's not here tonight, West Branch Township. So Tonya, I'm turning it over to you.
Thank you for having me this evening. And we're going to make this a little bit informal, so if you have any questions about anything I'm saying, please raise your hand and ask your question as we move along. So I don't want you to miss anything. So this is regarding the program that I have written, which is called the My Neighborhood Program. The My Neighborhood Program has two components. One is state funded, which is Housing Community Development Funds, which is legislatively appropriated through the state budget of $30 million per year. And then we have U.S. Department of Treasury and Housing and Urban Development dollars through the Community Development Block Grant Program, which we're running, and that's $30 million a year as well. So both those programs are open right now for applications, and I'm going to go through what those can fund and how much money is available in your region. So I'm with the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. So our goal is to address housing supply shortages and aging housing stock statewide by supporting the priorities identified in the Regional Action Plan. How many of you know what's in your Regional Action Plan right now? Raise your hand. Okay, if you go out to the My Neighborhood website, on the right-hand side underneath the map, you can click a link and it'll take you to the Regional Action Plan. This is really important because this is where you identify the prioritization of funding from the state in future years. So you're going to want to look at what it says for housing, if it's the type of housing that you want to prioritize, and whether it's home ownership or rental that you're prioritizing, whether it's single family, multi-family. You guys need to make some choices at your regional level that'll help us in our future program design. But for now, it's pretty generic. So just go out there and take a look and see who your regional action plan people are, and see if you want to participate in that planning piece of it. So currently we have over 300 grantees. Our funding goes to local units of government, nonprofit 501c3s, and for-profit developers. So we fund the entire state. We give grants and loans out for housing. We can do new unit construction, housing rehabilitation, either that's owner-occupied, homeowner-occupied, or is unoccupied and brought back into service. So we have over $200 million in grants awarded. It's projected in the next 4 months we'll be at $400 million and 400 grants. So we continue to grow. So I want to show you a map. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm going to pass it around. On this map, you will see shaded. That's where we funded in the state. And the unshaded is where we are seeking to fund. So you can see your region has not very much shading in it. That's why I'm here tonight. Region E is one of our priorities to be able to assist with the housing need in your area and try to find applicants. So I'm going to pass this around. have to say that West Branch has really come to the plate since the last time I was here. We have funded $5 million worth of projects. So these meetings are really important. It gets the message out there and helps us to be able to support your housing needs. So our Occupied Homeowner Rehab Program focuses on deferral items so that you can access other funding sources such as weatherization to be able to do the complete product. So what does My Neighborhood fund? We fund energy efficiency, accessibility improvements, minor home repairs, exterior rehab, substantial rehab, and rental redevelopment. So we can support mixed use developments, but we do not touch the commercial portion, just the housing, and the commercial has to be white boxed and ready for occupancy before we can begin on the housing piece. So what do we mean by energy efficiency? We mean roofs, doors, windows, insulation, security lighting, appliances, electrical upgrades, modernization or replacement of heating or cooling or HVAC and water heaters. So that's what we can offer funding for that. We offer up to, if you have an occupied unit, it's up to $40,000. If you're building a new construction unit or bringing an existing unit back into occupancy, it's $100,000. This is grant funds. They do not have to be repaid.
That's just for the energy efficiency portion?
That's for all of our homeowner rehab activities combined.
Okay.
Good question.
What if it's multi-unit? Is it per unit or?
It's per unit. So if you have a 4-unit quad that you're building, we could pay up to $400,000 for that quad. So we also do accessibility and aging in place with handrails, grab bars, closet rods, barrier-free showers and tubs. So we have a whole long list of items on our website that because we know it's important to be able to, as our population or housing stock ages, that they can continue to live in their homes. So we do offer that as part of our rehab too. So from 2022 to 2025, our investment in Region E has been $5,159,635, and we've had 14 grant awards. In My Neighborhood 1 and 2, which is the Housing Community Development Fund, which is the state funding, our total grant amount to date has been $59.8 million. We've done 1,153 homeowner and home buyer units, 378 rentals. So our program is shifting at the moment. If you look at what we're funding in My Neighborhood 3.0, the rentals exceeds the homeowner units. So this is kind of cyclical. I found in grants where people are really busy on the existing grant that they have for the first 2 years, and then they reapply in the 3rd year. So I think that we'll go back to homeowner home buyer in My Neighborhood 4.0. So the My Neighborhood 4.0 will be October 1st at 8 a.m. of next year. So that's something to keep in mind if you are not shovel ready yet. We'll talk about that. So in My Neighborhood 1 and 2, in Region E, we had $2,145,135 invested. We're doing 5 homeowner home buyer units and 18 rental units. So that's what came in the first funding cycle. So we are leveraging these dollars, but if you stay under $500,000 in a request, you do not have any leverage match requirement. So it's straight grant. If you go over $500,000, it's dollar for dollar after that. Or if you're doing rental units, we require a 10% owner investment of cash in order to access the dollars. So this program is highly sought after. In My Neighborhood 3.0, in the first 2 weeks, we had 150 applications for over $90 million. So it's highly competitive. We did, just so you know, we just approved the first batch in the November MISTA board meeting, and that was for $20 million, and we had 0 from Region E. There were 3 regions in the state where there were not any applicants that were 100% shovel ready. So we are going back to the board in December. We're taking 2 projects from Region E, but there will still be 1.7 million available out of the regional funding pot of 2,325,000. So that's why it's important that we're all in this room today. If you have a project that's shovel ready, which means you have your capital stack, your financing in place, you have site plan approval, you have site ownership, and you have, let's see, what's the 4th one? Oh, if it's a mixed use building, or if you've never ever built on the site before and it's a greenfield, you have to have a phase 1 environmental completed. So that's the timeline of what we're looking for is shovel ready. You can submit an application at any point in time. We do date and time stamp reviews, and then we will award until we exhaust all the funding.
So you're saying there's still 1.7 available in
Currently.
our
In your
area?
region, yes.
Okay.
Yep, and there are no applications that have not been reviewed. So
For our area, okay. Is there like a deadline to turn this in for the 3.0 or?
it's by date and time stamp, so the sooner you turn it in, the better your chances are of being funded if you're shovel ready.
Okay.
Can you repeat that again, what you were saying about phase 1?
Sure. If you are in a commercial mixed use building, you have to do an environmental phase 1 no matter what. If you are going to be doing new construction on a site that has never ever had residential housing on it before, so it's a greenfield, you have to do an environmental phase 1. So we make sure that the people who are going to be living there aren't going to be made sick. So it's a health and safety issue.
Even if it was previously an office building?
That's correct.
Okay.
If it wasn't residential, they're requiring a phase 1. So to date, we've helped over 8,500 people just in our division alone. So our primary focus is to make sure that the people who are helped, whatever product is given to them is going to be in code compliance and meet health and safety code. So I'm going to make sure that you're aware that you don't have to have full home code, just the activities that you're undertaking with our dollars. So it's the state money, so it's a little bit more flexible. So there's community development block grant dollars, which is a letter of intent form. That goes through the local unit government. So if you have a homeowner rehab project or an infrastructure need, you need to work with the city of West Branch. The city of West Branch can apply for accessing those dollars on your behalf.
What if you're outside of the city limits?
So you have a township.
Mhm.
Your township can apply. Cities, townships, villages, counties, anybody can apply on your behalf, but you have to be a local unit government in order to access that federal dollars. If you're a for-profit developer, then you would apply through the Housing Community Development Fund and access that 1.7 million. And then you can do a straight application yourself. So it just depends on where you are in the timing and what your partnerships look like. And we have about $30 million of that money left right now too. So that's a lot more money. And that's not dedicated towards regions, that's the entire state. We can use that money. And we focus that money on rural areas. So when you're talking about a township, that would be a good fit, depending on what your project is. We can't do new construction with that money, it's only rehabilitation. So are there any questions about my neighborhood?
If you're granted this, what's kind of completion date? What's
Is there, from start to finish,
So if you have not applied already, then you won't be going until at least the January Mishta board meeting, which is the third Thursday. So let's say you go to the February board meeting. Then you would get a reservation memo in March, and you would get a grant agreement right thereafter, and you would get a notice to proceed probably in April. So then you have 2 years to complete the project after that. So that's the worst case scenario. We're cutting, streamlining things a little bit to make it faster, but I can't get on the board agenda any faster than that. Okay, so there's some other things going on behind the scenes that I want to tell you about. So one of the things that's come up is we are partnering with some other agencies at the state level and MSU and a few other policy projects to do a housing life cycle matrix project. So what that is at the beginning of a house to 30 years and all the maintenance that's required in increments of 5 years. So we're trying to identify every funding source that can help you with those maintenance items so they aren't deferred. So it's going to be, we're going to call on each one of the local areas to help us to figure out what funding sources are available, not just grants, but also loans to help people with the maintenance of their homes. I had an NSP, so we did 3,000 demolitions. We want to stay out of the demolition business in the years to come and instead maintain these homes so that people can continue to occupy them. It's a lot better use of the resource. So that's something that's coming up. We have a meeting next week on December 4th. If you are interested in being a participant in that meeting and hearing more about that and sharing your local perspective, I will have some cards at the end and you can email me and we will invite you to that meeting. Because the more people that we can get to get this project happening, the better. We're partnering with, how many of you know about 211? Okay, good. So there's a number people can call if they need housing assistance. It's 211, and then it's any kind of emergency assistance or services that they need to access in the state. So they call this number. There's people there that will help them connect them to the resources available. So we have a contract with 211. They answer about 700 calls a month for us and connect them to the local resources. So this tool is going to help them to better serve the residents in the state, because we know that there's a significant need as the housing stock continues to age.
Got a question. You got a question?
Sure.
Is that something where renters, when they get in trouble, they can call to get assistance with rent and utilities?
No, actually, they can call there and there is resources available to help them.
Okay.
So that they won't be directed to my division,
Right.
but there are other areas that they can go to.
Okay.
Same with this SCR program, so that we'll put them into touch with the people who have the funding to help them. So our goal is to develop a comprehensive guide to help the homeowners understand their home maintenance timelines, the costs, and the available support resources. So we're going to focus on the home system's lifespan, the maintenance best practices, the replacement costs for budgeting, and the resource access to help them with that. So all of my funds are income restricted to 120% area median income or below. And then 20% of the funds are restricted to 60% area median income or below. So if you build that quadplex, you will have to have one of those units at 60% AMI. The rest can be at 120% AMI, which is typically equivalent to market rate. And all of the numbers and data are out on our website. So you can look up what the income limits are for housing size. So if you are gonna do a housing unit for 2 people or 4 people. And it also will give you the rent income restrictions for the occupants of those homes based on bedroom size and the utility allowances. So if you do rentals through the My Neighborhood program or any of our programs, there's a 10-year regulatory agreement to make sure that you do not increase the rents beyond those limits. So you'll want to go out there and see if those limits will work for you. And then if you're doing a homeowner or home buyer, there's a regulatory agreement on that property for 5 years. This will prevent flipping and cashing out of these homes, because we want to try to stabilize the neighborhoods as much as we can.
Do you change those rent limits like every year or something like that?
So you have a choice. If you want to just use one standard across the board, we let you choose to do that, so you don't have to change them every year. Or you can choose to change them every year. We just have a checkbox. You pick which one you're going to do. And they change every June of, typically it's June by the time that they get published and vetted. And so they get posted on the website, and then you can just convert to the new one.
Okay.
Can this funds be used by a person building a home, a homeowner too?
You have to be a LARA, Articles of Incorporation, for-profit developer. So it can't just be a property owner. They actually have to have a for-profit business that's approved by the state of Michigan through the licensing and regulatory affairs. So typically what we see is LLCs. So if you're an LLC, you would be eligible. So as long as you have a license and you're a developer, then that would probably work. We'd have to see the structure though. Okay, so on top of those things that are happening, we also are doing a whole home performance partnership pilot project where we're going to take a few counties. We're going to test out a model of using CDBG in My Neighborhood and partnering with DHHS and Eagle. And so we'll have weatherization, the energy rebates, and the federal funding and the rehab dollars from the state. We're going to combine them all together so we can do up to $75,000 on one property at a time. This is going to be super powerful because one of the problems with the way that the grants work is I may come in 2022 and help you with 2 or 3 things based on our caps. Then you may have to go and apply to another place, and they may be able to help you with 1 or 2 things based on their caps. Then you got to apply to a third place. It's a 10-year time span of you to get all this work done. This is going to shorten it to 18 months. So this is going to be super cool when it gets done. We are going to pilot it in 4 counties in 2026 and see if this works. So stay tuned. Next time I come back, hopefully I'll be able to report success on it. So one of the things that we focus on is energy efficiency, because we want this to be a win-win for the homeowner. So if you are putting in products, please look at the energy savings that will happen. We encourage energy audits for prioritization of rehab activities too. And the goal is to get that utility savings back into their pockets so that they can save for future maintenance and home repairs that are needed and not have to access the program for the significant dollars that they need to right now. So our goal is to promote neighborhood stability in both urban and rural areas. We do have a rural provision that if people receive our dollars, then other people come in to apply, that we will give the priority to the people who have not received dollars in that area before. So that's something why when you were talking about the township, That's something to consider as we are prioritizing those smaller rural areas that sometimes have the difficulty competing with the larger areas. So we do have funding set aside for that. And that's it.
Thank you. Questions?
I have some questions.
Oh, sure.
So, if I have an LLC, I'm a landlord, already have rentals, and I put in to do this, but I'm not a licensed builder, are you going to reject my application?
Okay, so if you're applying as the owner of a rental property,
Yep,
you do not live in the property,
correct.
and the occupants of that property
It
are,
would be a new build.
okay, it's a new build of rental, and you're going to have everybody who occupies it be at 120% AMR below. So you can, and you're the owner of the property.
Yep.
Okay, you can apply as long as you have the capital stack to pay for everything that you're gonna be doing. And our money is the last money in, so you can show that there's a gap. So let's say you have 500,000 from somewhere else and you need 400,000 from us. Then you'll have to have a letter of commitment for that 500,000 so that we know it's real, or our bank statement or something.
Okay,
Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is that you have to have site plan approval. So if you wanna build rental, you need to make sure it's zoned that way. And that you've got plan and specs, and they're gonna approve whatever you're planning to build at the local level.
okay, so if that is in the city, I just need a letter from the city saying that
If
this
that's
is your plan, it's okay.
as long as that I don't know what your site plan approval process is, but as long as you've gone through site plan approval and you have that letter stamped saying, yes, we approve it, you're good to go.
Okay,
And then you'll have to figure out, is it an existing site that's been built on before, or is it new?
it would be a small vacant area in where other homes are right now.
Yeah, but if it's, nothing's been built
No.
on it, so you would have to do phase one.
If there is an existing building, you would not have to do a phase one?
If there's ever been residential existing housing on that property, even if it's been demolished, you don't have to do it. It's just on totally not ever built on property that you have to do it.
And the land has to be deeded to the business that's applying for the,
The applicant, whoever this applicant's name has to be the owner of the property. Now, if you don't own the property yet, you can do a purchase agreement, or you can do an option to purchase contingent on the grant, but it has to have a dollar amount, and it has to have a time frame. So I've had people give me stuff from like 1999, that's not gonna work.
okay,
And then other people like, oh yeah, we'll let them buy the property, but they have to go through a public comment. That's not a purchase agreement. You can't have a bunch of contingencies that may stop the sale. Cause if you don't have a dollar amount agreed upon, you need to do that before you come to me, cause as soon as they know that you're gonna get grant dollars, that price goes up. So you need to get your purchase option or your site approval first.
okay. And then back to the licensed builder though, if I'm not a licensed builder, can I still do the work myself, or?
No, you have to hire somebody to do the work on your behalf that's licensed and insured.
Can we rent these ourselves, or do we have to use a certified rental agency?
So you can rent them yourselves, but you're gonna need to have a property manager during the regulatory agreement 10 years. So
What do you consider a property manager?
So they have to have a broker's license, or they have to actually be a legitimate property manager. They have to, there's a criteria, I don't know, on our website, it's long. But you can't do it yourself. If you aren't a property manager, then you have to actually hire one.
For the 10-year contingent?
Yes,
Unless you're a broker.
unless you're a broker, yes.
Does that apply if they're freestanding units? So I've got 4 freestanding stick-built houses, and I'm going to apply. So I would have to have a property manager to manage those?
Are they all rentals?
Yes.
Yes.
Have contractor's license.
Yeah, this came about because someone came to our Michigan board meeting complaining, and so that was a rule that was made. Because there was a property manager not doing things properly. So this has been mandated down.
Doesn't make much sense.
So, if you have an issue with the property management or a question, I can take it back and see if we can adjust what we have now. But, it would have to be based on experience and capacity to manage these properties.
I've been managing my own properties for over 25 years.
Right, like if we've done this. for
So that's
20 years.
different than if you're an emerging, I have a lot of emerging developers who have never ever done it before, so that's different. So if you can show capacity and experience, put that in there, and then that will be something that I can take back.
So I would put that as part of my, when I apply for the grant, or?
Yes, there's a capacity and experience question in there, so you would wanna add in that you've been serving as a property manager for the same type of property for X number of years.
Because the challenge is like in that map that was shown, I don't know where it is, but most of the regions that have been funded by this program are in larger areas, correct? Where there's rental management companies, I mean, they're all over. Up here, there's not many, right? So I think anyone who does have rental companies self-manages as it is.
So then that's something that you would want to just send me the question in, and I can go take it to our legal.
But that's not like written in blood, like that's.
Right, as far as all of us thinking about doing this, putting in an application, and then that would kill it.
Yeah, no, just go ahead and send it in, that's something that can be addressed later.
As far as a licensed builder, the way, I think I've even talked to you about this before, you can hire a licensed builder to oversee the project
Yes,
and do get the permits for you. So if you have a Mike Demasio or, someone that's a licensed builder, so they need to pull the permits and make sure things are done properly.
Right, and they need have their own business, obviously, have their own insurance.
They
or
would,
to run it.
everybody has to be insured that
Yes.
you hire.
Okay.
So what you're saying is you cannot be your own general contractor and hire all these subs for all these different,
if you don't have a license, you cannot do that.
okay, so you'd have to have somebody else general.
Yes.
Okay. I have one more question before you move on to everybody else. This, again, I'm questioning what Courtney had asked you. Is can an individual do this, or were you saying that you have to have an LLC or a corporate structure in order to do this? Which is it?
Yeah, an individual cannot do this, you have to have an actual, for-profit business that's approved by the Licensing and Regulatory Affairs, which could be an LLC.
Alright, so you have to have a business EIN number, is that
Yes.
correct? You cannot do it individually, even if you own the building individually?
No,
Okay.
I can only fund nonprofits, local units of government, and for-profit. Now,
Okay,
you can partner with the local unit of government and they could come in as the applicant. And then, cause it's all comes down to the applicant.
sure.
And that LLC or corporation,
Yeah, I
could
have
be a
LLC.
construction company, it doesn't have to be a rental company for the housing.
That's correct. We have, in fact, one of your people that's being approved as a realty. I guess you're the name.
Whole other level.
And then it has to be specific, because I set up.
Realty LLC.
And the guy who's doing the work for me said, by
So
the way,
that's
you notice
not,
all this needs
I
to
don't
be the
know for
LLC?
sure what they are, but I would imagine they are probably not
The LLC.
builder.
And I've got even a trickier
Then the
question.
building has to be in the LLC name as well.
Yeah, so I've got all my deeds in a trust.
Right.
So I have another
Oh, yes.
question. So I understand that the LLC has to own the properties. But is there any way, cause all my properties are in a trust, so I transferred the 4 properties that I'm gonna do into the LLC. Is there any way that the trust can own the LLC just for estate purposes?
That'd be a question for your attorney.
My
Yeah,
attorney told me to
I
ask
don't know
this
that. That's the stuff, I don't know that one, but, what I would do is, I'm gonna give you my card.
They don't have those questions in the big city.
Well, no, the trust, I try to stay away from trust, cause then we run into the whole thing of how many people are on the trust or are they all, agreeing to participate in the program. And because, we're income restricting the property for
Right.
10 years, so is everybody in the trust is gonna have to sign off
Well, it's a
agreeing.
one-person trust.
Okay, well, that makes it easier then,
It's just my wife and I,
okay.
who are the trustees.
Yeah, cause I've had trust like with 18 people on it. and
Yeah,
it's
so
just
my
not
attorney
right.
wanted me to ask if there was a way just for estate planning.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. That's one that, I have a legal person who would look at your particular situation trust paperwork
Okay.
and be able to tell me.
Quick question then, while nobody's speaking. I noticed in the application where it was asking for the SAM number, is that the same SAM as the federal SAM?
Yeah, and for this money, you just put in 11111.
Okay, would it matter if you rented already to the US government for 25 years, any of these qualifications?
If this particular property that you're asking to
Yes.
be rehab, so we don't do public housing, is that what this is?
No.
Okay, then, do you already have a SAM number?
I used to, but I let it expire when I stopped doing business with the federal government.
Then just put in straight ones.
I'm sorry, what?
Just put in straight ones.
Straight one.
So just put 1111 is your number.
Okay,
For
It's not,
applying?
the reason why it's in there is because if you're asking for community development block grant dollars, which is the federal side, is required, but on the state side, it's optional.
okay.
And that actually is in the instructions to put the ones, and I'm not just making that up.
Didn't see
If
that.
you're wondering.
I was told if we have a multifamily rental unit, that we had to have a sprinkler system, is that correct?
Are you having more than one floor?
Pardon?
Are you putting in more than one floor?
No, just one floor,
And how many units are there?
4.
4 units? I will have to talk to our construction manager. I don't know the answer to that.
I do know that answer.
Okay,
Anything over 3 units on a local basis here, through the building department, has to have an irrigation system.
Over 3 units.
Anything over 3 units.
So you could have 3 units and not have
Correct.
to do that.
But your 4th one, you need an irrigation system.
Thank you.
Is that Ogemaw County or?
That's Ogemaw County, which is the bulk of what for the state of Michigan.
Okay.
So, whatever you wanna call it.
thank you.
Cool.
So when do you have to get bids for more than one builder? I remember reading that somewhere.
So you have to show cost reasonableness. So you have to, get quotes or bids that show comparables of how much it costs for either one. Now, you don't have to pick the lowest one. You have to pick the most responsible bidder.
So you need to have more than one builder bid it.
You should have more than one estimate of how much it's gonna cost to build. That way you can have something to, look at for your cost reasonableness.
And what's your subs? You have to have more than one sub too? Like for heating, you have to have 2?
No, as long as you
bids?
have an overall cost estimate of how much the entire thing is gonna cost, that's good enough. You don't have to go down the sub level.
Thanks.
And then that's after you've been accepted, that you have all the bids and everything, correct?
Yes,
Do you expect 3 builders bids, or you just take whichever one we choose? We just gotta give you one.
yeah, you have to you upload 2 of your estimates, and then you check a box of which one you picked. You don't have to tell us why you picked them,
But you gotta have 3 prices.
you should have 2.
2 prices, 2 builders' prices, and then we just pick which one we choose to do.
Yes,
And it's up to us to keep them in them
Yeah, and you have to explain why, it's cost reasonable to pick the one you did. So if you have a gap of 25% or more, then we require you to get that third bid. So as long as they're within reason of each other, you can pick anything you want. Once they get past that 25%, then there's probably something wrong that they're not, comparing the same.
If you own the LLC that the property's gonna be built on, and you also own a construction company, there's no conflict of interest, correct? You could pick your construction company every time.
I've never had that question asked to me before. If your construction, if the bids that somebody else's bid,
Sure, if it's reasonable with another bid that you get from an outside company.
so if that's the case though, if you are owning the property and doing the work, we don't pay for labor.
It would be two separate LLCs, right? So like let's say I own the property I'm building, I get approved for the funding, but yet I also own a construction company under a completely different name with, say, a partner. That company's gonna bid the project, and then also I'm gonna get another builder to bid it as well. If they come within reason, can I pick my company, right?
I don't think so,
That,
as long as it,
yeah,
Cause it wouldn't be the same, right? It wouldn't be the same LLC, would not be doing the build as owning the project.
Right.
They tied their shoes correctly or something.
Right,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying the state was gonna know, hey, this guy's on the LLC, he's
the only thing we would wanna make sure is that we're, when we go to sworn statement, that we're paying for materials and not labor. That labor's getting paid for by some leverage funds.
would that be the same if I did not own a construction company, I was just,
If the owner has any vested interest or stake in the company that's doing the work, then we pay for materials only. If you don't have, if you're totally different and separated, then we pay for everything. And remember, our funds are for hard construction costs, so we don't pay for soft costs. So when you go to sworn statement, we're gonna wanna see windows, doors, roof, that kind of thing. We're not gonna wanna see general conditions and all the soft things that you put in there. We're only gonna wanna see actual physical items that we can touch. That's what we're paying for, cause that's what we can prove to an auditor that happened. You guys have some good questions, yes.
Which the amount of money you're talking isn't gonna cover the materials anyway. So, that's pretty simple.
yeah, it's only gonna cover, yeah.
It's gonna cover a nice portion of the material.
That's right.
Huge portion, don't get me wrong, it'd be a huge portion of material, so that's a pretty simple thing to do.
It depends on if you're building a 600 square foot house or a 1200 square foot house.
Well,
It's all relative.
yeah, but still,
that's what I'm saying.
100,000 in materials for a 600 square foot house is gonna, it's gonna take care of your materials, unless you're really going all out.
yeah.
And we go down to
Well, thank you, because you already
450
checked this
square
out,
feet.
so.
So you know.
What'd you just say, sorry?
We do go down to 450 square feet, that's the minimum that we will build.
Did you say 400?
But we have built some of those, we prefer not to go down that far, but that is on the table.
Well, I think West Branch will only let you, they have to be 600, right, John, I think?
Depending on the zoning area, yeah, there's, I was thinking it was closer to 700, but yeah, 600, 700.
Oh, yes.
So in my scenario where I'm doing several houses that are occupied and the tenants will meet the income restrictions. So do I pay for everything up, if I'm approved, do I pay for everything up front? And then after inspections and completions, I receive the grant money? Or is the grant money once the bids are accepted?
Okay, so we allow, after you get your grant award and your notice to proceed, you can, get an advance of up to 25% of those dollars right up front. and then we reimburse you as you go along.
So it's reimbursement as you go.
Yeah, and if you have to put a deposit down, we will pay for the deposit up to 50%. So we don't wanna have anybody have a cash flow problem, waiting for us to pay you back.
So one other question, so I'm doing 4 separate houses, so I know there's only one grant application, so would it be a 25% advance on the whole project, or on each one of the 4 properties as I go?
It depends on the timing, cause you have to use that advance in 180 days. So whatever you can use in 180 days, you can take the 25% of the entire amount. This is a good deal, I'm just letting you guys know. Every time it gets a little bit tighter, but it's a good deal. I mean, we are trying to incentivize housing at the local level and, doing everything we can to make sure that we are putting enough dollars in so that you, can actually get the projects completed. Now, remember, if you own those houses and they're rentals, you have to bring 10% cash to the table. Right up front, and we're gonna require you to use that money first, so we make sure that it happens.
10% of the project, or 10% of the,
10% of each unit, so if you ask us for, I don't know how much it's gonna cost to do one unit, let's say it costs 50 grand. We're gonna want you to put your 10,000 in first before we put our 40 in.
You mean 5,000?
20%.
If it's 50 and we put in 40, then you would put your 10 in.
10%
But that's
or
20%.
10,000.
I know, but he still has a gap. If it's 50,000 to do the rehab and we're bringing 40 in regardless of the 10%, he's gotta put his cash in to get it done, totally done. So just keep that in mind, is we're gonna wanna see that you have those dollars. We release on a prorated basis, but we're gonna wanna see our investment, is we're not gonna wait till the end and somebody says, oh, we don't have that money.
Well, that's just a simple letter from the bank
Yes,
after the approval.
Yep.
Okay.
It's not after the approval, it would be part of your application. So you're gonna have to show you have your cash available when you apply. You don't have to use it until after you get the grant, but you have to show it's
But
available.
if I don't have the bids till after I'm accepted, then I really don't know how much money.
Well, you should have since you're shovel ready, you should have a pretty good estimate of how much it's gonna cost and what you wanna do for that rehab. And so if any cost overruns are the responsibility of the applicants, you're gonna wanna have it really close to that number. You're definitely gonna wanna be able to show that you need $40,000 of work. So that's where that sworn statement's gonna come in your performance to show the need.
But that's after you're accepted.
That's, if you are doing rentals, that performance is due as part of your application.
So I need to know exactly what I'm gonna be rehabbing and
Yeah.
everything up front.
You should have a pretty good idea of what your numbers are gonna look like.
Yeah, I wouldn't look at this as like a line of credit. Like, it's like, you know the process, what's happening, then you're putting in the application, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you know the complete scope of the work.
Yeah, you know what you wanna do. You're coming and telling us, I wanna do the roof, it's gonna cost 30,000. Now, we know that there may be some flux after you get in it, cause the things keep changing, but you should have pretty close numbers.
Do you have to have what, on an existing rental, or in the application, I'm just asking, is it gonna be required that we put in like what the renter is paying currently? What if it's above the 120%?
We actually are gonna get a copy of your lease, so we're gonna know.
Okay, but say it is higher then.
Then you're gonna have to give us something saying that you're lowering the rent.
Oh.
But I would imagine you're gonna have to do a calculation to see if there's a cost benefit.
Sure.
Cause if you're only putting 40,000 and you're gonna be locking that rent restriction for 10 years, you probably don't wanna do it if they're over a rent now.
Gotcha, okay.
So to do a,
No, go ahead.
so like for example, I'd like to do a roof, you have to have a energy evaluation done first.
If it's a roof only,
Right, and then you have to make sure you have the fascia, the soffit, et cetera. So it was my understanding you didn't do that step until after you were accepted.
that's right. You won't do the energy, you don't have to have the energy audit done until after you get the grant. But you still should have a good idea of what you're gonna wanna have done and what the materials and labor is gonna cost to make that happen.
So
It's an estimate.
is there a penalty if you overestimate and then when you get your bids, they're lower than your initial projection?
I've never seen that happen yet, so.
Well, it's because I'd rather overreach if I have to, you know, sign
I
something.
have a construction manager who is pretty good at he looks at every single one of these, and he will make the call of whether or not it's, over or under. But I have not seen anybody that's come in significantly under budget so far.
Well, I mean, as an example, these are much older houses over in Skidway. So do they have to be brought up to the current code for insulation? Just as an example. So if they do, then that's an added cost. If I've got to peel the siding off and put foam or whatever and then re-side it, opposed to if it needs to be sided, just put siding on it. So that's where my numbers
That
are.
should be a building department issue, not a state issue.
Yeah, that's a local, permitting question, but I can tell you if you're doing roof-only projects, that our construction manager will require insulation to be addressed as part of that roof-only project. So, it is going to be required. I haven't seen any that have been able to not have it. Just because we're trying to protect the homeowner and make sure that they're getting a good product long-term. And no cutting of any corners is, recommended.
Right, that's why I asked if there's a problem if I over project it.
I don't think that, there's I have not, when you say that your scope, if your scope has like 5 line items and you can only do 3 of them, then that's okay. When you get your bids back, you can tailor it back down to those 3 priority items or your energy audit. So you'll wanna just make sure your scope has everything in it that you wanna fund for that dollar amount.
Okay.
The cap that we put on there, that has been determined cost reasonable. So as long as you stay within the cap, we're good.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there some sort of hotline or somewhere we can ask questions when we get stuck?
So there's a mailbox that, 4 times a day, people bring questions to us. So you need to go to MISTA-NDD, which stands for Neighborhood Development Division.
Is that on your card?
Yeah, and you know, I'm gonna have to go out to my car and get them. They're in my coat. I didn't bring my coat in, so I'll have to get them before I leave here. But, it's MISTA-NDD@michigan.gov.
NDD?
Yep, for Neighborhood Development Division, yeah. And so we answer questions in, every day. There are,
They really do.
You do.
Okay,
they
I know I've been told, I just wanted to know.
And they put your question right there and they kind of highlight their answer.
Okay,
So,
awesome.
so if you ask 10
we're really trying.
questions, they're
Has
really
anybody
good.
else been through this besides Rose? She's already been approved, anybody else? So we're all new. How about, the number of units for, most of us are first time through, how many units would you allow us to do?
Huh?
Is it, I know you, it was
So if
written.
you're a beginner and you are, we have up to $500,000 is the maximum amount that you can receive as an emerging developer.
Right, but how about many units?
So it is, depends, are you doing rehab or new unit construction?
Depends on your definition.
Okay,
I knew, let's do that, new house.
okay, new units is $100,000 per unit, so that's 5,
On first time,
first time.
now,
Rehabs is 40,000 per unit, so if you're doing 500,000, then what's that, 10, 11, 12? 12,
Okay, if it's a existing building, was commercial, my phase one is in, and there'll be small apartments within the building, I can still go up to 500,000, doesn't matter what the number is that correct?
you can do 5 at 100,000 apiece.
For
Right.
rehab.
It's only 5
Or could I do 10 at 50,000?
Yes,
The
that's
first time through,
first time through.
based on my experience?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cause this changed from 2.0.
Yes, we have, increased it. It used to be a lot less, but we have found that, economies of scale, you need to do that type of numbers in order to be able to get a return on your investment.
Okay, how about that, is that a hard and fast rule on that 450 square feet? Because mine's all architecturally designed up for studios. Studio apartments.
Are they at more than 450?
Some are, some are not.
Then you will have to change your plan. We will not approve anything, and you need to make sure that you're mindful of what the local rules are, cause they may be stricter.
Locals were fine.
So we don't go less than 450.
Okay.
Does anybody know what the 120% would be around this area?
If we can pull it up.
As far as rent,
Yeah.
I can pull it up
a
on my.
2-bedroom, I believe, on 120, the rent amount is actually more than typical market.
Is it still listed, Rose? Is it still as of 2024?
I think they have a
There's a 20.
Oh, do you guys know? I was gonna say, I can pull it up on my phone.
2025, I've got that, 2024. What I found was okay.
Well, a 60% unit, which if you're doing 401 would have to be, that's 1,075 for a 2-bedroom. And then a 120 unit is, the 120 is up to 2151, which is more than most.
For 2
What
What
bedrooms.
about, does it just give you, is that a full breakdown?
That right now.
Yeah.
That's on their site too, if you go to their
Is it?
main,
Yeah. It's right on the My Neighborhood webpage,
yeah.
under resources and on the left-hand
Yeah,
side.
if you type in MSHDA 3.0, the whole works comes up
Yeah.
so nicely.
Yeah,
What is it?
Mishna MSHDA 3.0 and hit enter.
You else want that?
And it'll take you right to their page that has just loads of information, yeah.
Like, loads.
Probably too much. for it's gonna give you
Yeah, the
like-
handbook, I read that first, and it was like 97 pages.
so right now, we are splitting the handbook into new unit, unoccupied rehab, and.
Oh, nice.
home rehab. So that, you will only have little baby books soon, but,
And back to, so you were talking about 4.0 coming now. The 4.0 next October, and you started to say something about it. Did you say you were gonna go back to new home builds more in the 4.0? Will new rentals be?
typically, we'll have it open to everybody, but,
Okay.
the trend is that the people who are doing homeowner, builds right now, they're super busy with 1 and 2, so they did not apply for 3, cause they're in the middle of construction on those, right now. And so once they sell those, they'll come back in for 4. But we'll be offering both next year.
Okay.
And is this going to be ongoing pretty much? You normally get so many, promote it for
You know, I hope so.
housing?
That's the plan anyway.
That's the plan, so,
When you say homeowners
They want you to build and resell it,
and resell
but you have to be a for-profit in order to build it,
it, okay,
and then they want you to resell it.
when you sell it
I'm
to,
looking more at duplexes, to be honest, but I'm just,
Okay, so if you're doing duplexes, you have to have a shared wall maintenance agreement.
A shared, what's that?
So if you're doing a duplex, if you're gonna do a duplex for sale or a duplex for rent,
Right.
then you're good. It's just when you're doing the, duplex for sale
Oh,
that we run
okay.
into the shared wall
Okay,
issue.
yep.
And the condo arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
What you would, if you did for sale on your quad, you would need to make sure you have that legal paperwork, for maintenance.
You have a question on the percentage for the rent? Is there anything, I don't know if anyone here does this, but where you include everything, like water, heat, everything, is that deducted off of the rent?
There's a utility allowance section, there's another page where you can deduct that, and you can add it to the rent, so.
Right, so if the rent is over the 120, but everything's included, and you deduct it and it comes under the 120,
Then you're good.
then you're good. That actually makes sense.
Okay, I can go out and get my cards, and thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff, are you gonna have a sprinkler system in there?
I will have to, yes.
Yes, you have.
Yes, sir.